Weekend storms brought heavy rains over the weekend. Only Chopper 10 can show you this view of the flooding across the peninsula. Crews evacuated some apartments in Hampton and Newport News after the water rose to dangerous levels. Residents were allowed back into their Great Oak and City Line apartments this afternoon only to gather their belongings.
But both apartment complexes, they're still condemned. 10 on your side's Melanie Woodrow's outside Great Oak Apartments. What's the latest there, Melanie?
Well, I just got a phone call from the director of the Redevelopment and Housing Authority here in Newport News, and she tells me that here at Great Oak they were checking out some electrical outlets. They wanted to make sure they were okay before they switched the power back on, and they discovered there were some issues, so the soonest the power would be switched back on here won't be until tomorrow. Meanwhile, over at City Line Apartments, power was restored this afternoon. However, the residents there were still in the dark about when they'd be able to move back in. Flooding at City Line Apartments is nothing new, but in 3 years as a resident, Myrtle Hensley says Saturday's rain event was memorable.
Well, I've never had it as bad as it is now. I mean, because it was up to my kneecaps almost.
Hensley took what she could and got out, only to return and find what she'd left behind she'd likely have to throw out.
The whole apartment is just destroyed, you know. Water's everywhere. All my furniture's gone. Didn't mess my TVs up, thank God.
Residents were allowed into the privately owned apartment complex this afternoon. The power was turned back on, but a city spokesperson said people would not be allowed to move back in until each unit was inspected. Hensley got a ride. Like most, she lost her car. But while she didn't have renter's insurance, she was covered elsewhere.
Thank God I don't have to start over with my car, though. Insurance got to pay for that. They had full coverage, because I just bought the car.
Newport News City Manager Neil Morgan said vehicle damage was the primary type of damage following this weekend's event. Morgan said according to readings at one pump station, parts of Newport News had 12 inches of rain in 3 hours Saturday morning.
The one rule in weather emergencies is they're always different from the last one, and you should never be surprised about being surprised.
Morgan said only 2 City Line apartment residents were at a Warwick High School shelter today. Most were staying with family or in hotel rooms the apartment complex provided.
Now, I would be on the street if they didn't. No, I think they're doing a good job.
Hensley described how she was maintaining a positive outlook in a situation where it would be easy to do otherwise.
I don't know, I'm just doing it. I have to, right?
And that is the case for so many residents, including those that were here at Great Oak Apartments. You can see back live now, the signs say no trespassing, do not enter. Everything's been closed up here for the evening. By the way, that shelter that was at Warwick High School, that closed tonight at 5 p.m., though the city spokesperson tells me that alternate arrangements have been made for anybody who still needed a place to stay. Reporting live in Newport News, Melanie Woodrow, 10 on your side.
One more resource, too. The Red Cross is stepping in to help those families who need it.
At Great Oak Apartments, power was still out this afternoon. The Redevelopment and Housing Authority wanted to make sure that they checked all the outlets before switching the power back on so there wouldn't be a short. Out of 140 units, only 25 were not damaged. The rest were soaked. Residents were allowed to pick up their belongings this afternoon.